I was just running as if the devil was chasing me. And people were just looking at me strangely. And I noticed as I was running, I noticed that some people were even pressing their phone, walking, leisurely. And I'm like, it's like these people want to die. These people want to die. I'm like, let me run across. My life is still important to me. Hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is Zumi and I'm a Nigerian living in Canada. So on this channel, I share immigration tips, my experiences as a Nigerian living in Canada, tips for adjusting successfully into the Canadian society, recipe remixes using Nigerian and Canadian ingredients, and container gardening tutorials and so much more. So if this kind of content appeals to you, kindly consider clicking the subscribe button below so that you can receive notifications whenever I upload a new video. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing on 8 major areas of culture shock that I experienced as a new immigrant to Canada, a JJC who had never traveled abroad before I was given my PR and I relocated to Canada. So culture shock is a common phenomenon when people move from one country to another, especially when the cultures are very different. And most people, when they get their papers and they are ready to migrate, they just focus more on, oh man, I'm moving to a new environment, greener pastures, better opportunities, but they don't really think about the cultural aspects, how different their own culture is from the culture they are moving into. And so when people are not prepared that way and they come into that new environment, the culture shock impacts them so much. It comes with feelings of loneliness, depression, sadness, anger, even regrets. People regret, why did I make the right choice to move over? So by making this video, I'm hoping to kind of create more awareness of this reality so that people can take time and research into how the cultures are different so that the shock or the impact will not be too much. And also another reason why I'm making this video is to let anyone out there who might be experiencing culture shock and wondering whether they made the wrong choice relocating to Canada or to any country abroad. I wanted you to know that it's a normal phenomenon and definitely with time it gets better. I'll go right ahead and share the 8 areas of culture shock that I want to talk about in this video. So the first one for me was the cold. Canada is a very cold country. I think it's one of the coldest countries in the world. So for me, I generally don't even like the cold. Before I came to Canada, I don't use AC because it makes me fall sick. And even when I use a fan, I have to cover myself with a wrapper. If not, I get a cold. So imagine coming down to Canada and feeling that kind of cold. Sometimes you have wind chills up to, like in the area where I'm living, you have wind chills sometimes up to -25, -30. That is like so cold, so freezing cold. So, and even when I wear everything and, wear all the winter gear, I still find myself shivering. And now, I clocked 5 years in Canada last December, but can you imagine, till now, I still cannot get used to it. I don't think people ever get used to the cold of Canada. So the second area of culture shock for me was the issue of constant electricity. Those of us that come from Nigeria know that when you see the light, you just thank God. Everybody's screaming up NEPA, oh, they brought the light. So when I landed in Canada, I remember I landed on a Saturday and I wanted to go to church the next day. So I told my husband, you know what, I'm so tired. I wish I could iron, or maybe if you could help me to iron so that, I don't wear rumple clothes to church. He was like, don't worry, they're not taking the light. And I was just like, what's this man saying? You don't know. How can you be so sure? No way. I need to go and iron. So after arguing and all that, I had to obey and go to bed. But I woke up super duper early and still ironed just in case. And even afterwards, when it comes to my phone, I'm always plugging it in case the light goes off and all that. So, but this is my 5th year in Canada now, and I can actually count on my fingers how many times there has been a power cut. So this is a good kind of culture shock, right? So, but for me, it was shocking. It was so traumatizing. I was always worried that the light would go, but the light hardly ever went. And even when it does, it comes back as soon as possible. So the top point I'm going to be talking about is the traffic system here versus what we have in Nigeria. The traffic lights, the zebra crossings and all that. Unfortunately, those things don't work in Nigeria. Yes, they are there, but it's basically for fancy. People still have to run when they are crossing the road. The drivers don't really obey the traffic signs that much. and all that. So I actually, even when I was back home in Nigeria, I had 2 close calls with death, because I didn't run very fast when I was crossing the road, and it kind of really traumatized me. So I came down here with that mindset that I always have to run, even when I'm on a zebra crossing. So I remember the first time I tried crossing the road here, and I just waited, and when it was time for everyone to cross, I started running as if so. If you see, I was running. It was as if my legs were hitting were hitting the back of my head. I was just running as if the devil was chasing me. And people were just looking at me strangely. And I noticed as I was running, I noticed that some people were even pressing their phone, walking, leisurely. And I'm like, it's like these people want to die. These people want to die. I'm like, let me run across. My life is still important to me. I'm just landing. I need to enjoy this Canada. So it actually took me some time before I could be able to adjust and realize that it actually works here. And even the traffic lights, you would see maybe there's just one car on the road and there's a red light and there's no other car. And the drivers will still be waiting. And when it only turns green, that's when they cross. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So it used to amaze me a lot. Another area that had strong impact on me in terms of culture shock was the issue of my accent. So before coming to Canada, I didn't even realize that I had any accent when I speak English. I used to take pride in the fact that, I have a good command of English, coupled with the fact that I had studied English and literary studies in the university. So I felt like I wasn't going to have any problem with English or communicating with people. But upon coming here, I was surprised that I would speak and it was as if nobody would understand what I was saying. And they kept saying, sorry, what did you say? I'm sorry, can you come again? It used to be so bad. It became so embarrassing that I just kind of shut down. Whenever I go out, I wouldn't speak. I would just smile and avoid speaking. And my husband noticed that, and he would sometimes, even when we go for doctor's appointments and all those things, when they ask me questions, he would answer for me until one doctor said, sorry, please, sir, can you let her speak for herself? And that was when I knew that, man, in Canada, you have to speak up for yourself. And of course, everyone isn't supposed to speak like Americans or Canadians or whatever, but my accent was so thick. And I know that right now, of course, I'm still speaking. When I speak, people still know that I'm Nigerian, but it has taken me some time to be able to become more conscious of how I express myself so that when I talk, they can understand me better. So that was very demoralizing. Another trauma that I faced as a new immigrant was that I found myself always calculating the Naira equivalent of whatever I want to buy in the shop before I will determine whether I'm going to buy it or not. So on one occasion, I went to the shop with my husband and I wanted to buy some donuts. So I looked at the price and it was like $3 something, and it was like 6 donuts or so. And I was like, how can I pay like almost 600-700 Naira for one pack of donuts? No, we're not buying it. So everything I touched, I would convert it and I just would drop it. And I even remember, I've told this story in my other video, which I'm going to link up here. So I remember when I went to the meat section, I was so heartbroken. You bring one small pack of meat, like maybe 6 chicken legs back attached, and this thing is like $8-9. I'm like, what? No. Let's go home. I'm not doing this anymore. My husband said, does it mean we're never going to eat meat? I said, you know what? Let's just go home. I was so mad. And so that was another trauma for me. I would just go home. I would be calculating. And even I must have come across as very stingy, because whenever I went out with friends back then, I would tell them, see, I want to spend only $10. I don't know how we're going to do this. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, don't worry. And in my heart, I'll be like, thank God. Another area that gave me so much concern was seeing how younger people address older people by their names over here. Back home in Nigeria, younger people address older people by respectful titles such as mommy, daddy, uncle this, auntie this, even when they're not related to them, right? So coming here, of course, I've heard of it before that white people or white children address adults by their names, but it was a shock for me. Okay, so, and especially when you see little children, maybe someone that is 2 years old, although I was not into people calling me auntie, I don't mind it if the age bracket is not much. Or seeing a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old say, hey, Zumi, what's up? Zumi, do this, Zumi. I wouldn't do anything, but in my heart, I'm like, what's going on? And another aspect was sometimes you see a little child, maybe the mom tells them something and say, oh, don't be silly, mom. Oh, that's so stupid, dad. I'm like, whoa, eh? This child doesn't have any home training. Over time, I've come to realize that it is their culture. And even when they say, oh, that's, don't be silly, mom, it's not for them a sign of disrespect. So that's another aspect that used to concern me. Another one is the issue of pregnancy. So when I got pregnant after I landed and stayed for some months, right? So I noticed when my tummy became very big and all that, I would see people in the shop, or maybe I'm just walking on the road, you see people smiling and coming towards you. Wow, congratulations. So when are you due? When is your due date? And what's the sex of the baby? I'm like, which kind of witch and wizard be this? You know, back home in Nigeria, it's like there's some kind of questions you don't ask people, not to talk of even someone you don't know coming to ask you the due date of your pregnancy or what sex is your baby. People like to keep the sex of the baby secret, but here they're asking me. So those days, of course, I would just to cover face, I would answer the person, and then I would go home, I'll be casting and binding. I say, Father, in the name of Jesus, I cover my baby in the blood of Jesus. I will be praying and praying. So, but for them, it's a normal thing. So there are so many other such personal questions that people tend to ask, and it takes some getting used to. And the last point, which is not the least point at all for me, was the issue of the availability of Nigerian foodstuff and how expensive they were. So when I landed in Canada, the place where I was living, there were not too many Nigerians, so there was no Nigerian shop where I could buy foodstuff to make the things that we regularly eat. So it was a problem for me. I had to, anytime we want to buy it, we have to travel for hours, like maybe almost an hour and a half. And then even the food itself, the food stuff is very expensive. So you will go to that shop and you spend like $100 and you're coming back with a small nylon. Meanwhile, that same $100, if I go to a regular grocery shop with it, I will fill almost a whole shopping cart depending on what I buy, right? So it used to be a problem for me. More especially, by the time I got pregnant, because me, I'm a local babe. I like my fufu, I like my gari, I like my owere soup, I like my oha soup, all those kind of things. So I couldn't have access to them. So when I was pregnant, I used to have so much cravings. I would literally be crying. I'll be crying and crying. My husband is like, what do you want me to do? Should I call your mom? What do you want me to do? I must have disturbed the poor man so much. So thankfully, today, after so many years, I've been able to gradually adjust into how things are done in Canada. I know my way about, and I don't miss home as badly as I used to. Of course, I still love my country. I would love to visit and all that, but at least I can live here, I can raise my children here, and I can create a beautiful future for myself. So I would like to hear from you. If you're currently living abroad, what are some culture shock experiences you have faced or you are currently facing? Or if you are not yet abroad but you're aspiring to relocate to Canada or any country abroad, which of these points do you think will be an issue for you? I would like to hear, so kindly leave me a comment in the comment section below so that I can know what you think. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed watching this video. Kindly click the subscribe button below so that you can receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.